Hello everybody, and welcome to your Cernunnos ADC guide. Gonna be grabbing our death toll. What are we against this game? We're against a Heim, we're against a Kali. We got a lot of physical damage going on here. So I'm actually gonna start off taking myself right into the Icky Vault for that 1v1 matchup. Also, Heim has really slow auto attacks, and so a little bit of Icky Vault against that Heim is going to go a long way. And your subscription to the channel goes a long way, so make sure you subscribe to the Twitchiest community and ring that bell for a notification, guys, to make sure that you never miss a video. So Cernunnos right now, not a bad ADC. In fact, he's a pretty dang good ADC in duel for all of you duelers out there. I like him a lot right now in the 1v1 for duel. Conquest, not quite as efficient, but he's definitely a lot stronger this year than he has been in a while because of that bonus effect that they gave him on that Bramble, with the fact that it is also a cripple is very, very nice for him. So it does give him easier access to landing his combos, which is quite nice. Also, a little personally biased, I also just think that Cernunnos' kit is actually quite fun and unique compared to a lot of the other hunters in the game. Their kits tend to get a little similar. So Cernunnos has got a lot of unique stuff going for him. So meta-wise, definitely a viable pick, and I recommend checking him out if you are looking for an ADC. So right off the bat, you're gonna see something that you don't normally do on hunters, which is I am trying to get myself all up into melee range, and we're gonna be able to grab ourselves the first blood. The reason why you wanna get into melee range on Cern is because you get bonus damage for being in melee range, and not just like a little bit of bonus damage. You get a lot of bonus damage for being in melee range. 25% of your basic attack damage. We're talking accounts for basically an extra auto every 4 autos. Really strong, particularly in the early stages of the game. And honestly, throughout the entire game, it is percentage-based, so it scales really well, but you really notice the damage in the early stages of the game because it's a little bit easier for you to get up in that melee range. In the later stages of the game, it's going to be a little bit harder because you don't necessarily want to be up in melee range against the Kali jungle. 25% bonus damage isn't worth it. You would rather just keep your range on her. But like in the early stages of the game where I can dive into the Heim, very nice. He kind of just teleported himself back into a really bad spot, actually, so I'm gonna get a ton of free poke off of that. Just playing very aggressive into them. That was actually a good little pull right there from Shiva. But very aggressive on the Cern early, particularly paired with this Atlas. Your job as the ADC is gonna have to do a lot of AFK farming. AFK farming is kind of the name of the game. You're trying to get as much XP as humanly possible so you can get into the late stage of the game. Probably one of the roles in Smite that is the most heavily influenced by PvE, both in the fact that you're kind of AFK farming for most of the game, and also you're going to be the primary killer of the main PvE objectives. You're going to be the most important person: Fire Giant, Gold Fury, Towers, Phoenixes, etc. So you got to make sure that you're not falling behind in the XP department, which is also pretty easy to do because the duo lane is quite far away in terms of manually walking back. So if you die, you can easily miss out on a wave, plus a camp, you get your stuff stolen, etc. So you got to be careful off of that. Solo laners, they can teleport back. Mid laners, it's the easiest lane to walk down into. Duo lane, it's a long way away, so you got to be a little careful. So we're not going to back until we can finish up this Icky-Vol, or if we were to get ganked or something, and if we have to back. But preferably, we're staying until we can finish this first item, which for us, this game is going to be an Icky-Vol. Into this team comp, going to be really nice against the Heim because his auto attacks are already so slow, and it's going to be really nice into that Kali when she inevitably comes over and ganks our brains out. For your scaling on Cernunnos, you're going to be quite strong at the very beginning of the game because of that passive, that bonus 25%. Then you're gonna dip down a little bit in the mid game, and you're gonna come back strong in the ultra late. A lot of hunters kind of just scale up straight up. The longer the game goes, the closer they get to full build. Cernunnos is just a little bit different on that front, and that's because of that passive in the early game, which gives you that bonus damage, which kind of lets me just sit here and fight into that Heim. Unfortunately, all of his creep waves showed up and saved his life. That lucky son of a gun, dude, on that secondary creep wave. Grab ourselves a couple of wards, plus we get to finish that Icky-Vol, and I'm going to head myself right into an AC. For your ability order leveling on Cernunnos, you're going to be leveling up your 4 and your 2 to max first. This is just about getting that burst damage out there into the game. Bramble Blast damage is not just the base damage, it's also the bleed damage. Your ultimate is decently important to level up because you'll find that that extra 50 damage actually adds a lot to the burst every single level, combined with your 2 as well. Some people don't level it up. You don't have to. It doesn't reduce your cooldown or anything. The rule of thumb is basically if it's not like reducing your cooldown or giving you some tertiary effect on the ulti, you don't have to level it up. But I find that the burst damage on Cern is surprisingly effective, so I like to go 4, 2, 1, 3. I like to do his 3 last. His 3 actually is good damage, and it reduces the cooldown, so it's a nice ability to level up, but you level up the dash too much. Now it encourages you to be dashing in every fight. Now you're putting yourself out of position, and you're using your getaway skill aggressively. There's a lot of push and pull on that one. So while you can level up the 3 a little bit earlier, you just got to be very careful about it, because if you level up that 3 too early, too far, then you're very reliant on the dashing in. The reason why it's nice on Cern is because dashing in puts you into that melee range against the enemy hunter, and then you get that plus 25% bonus damage. So the incentives are there in the kit, and you can go for it. It is just a higher risk, higher reward style of gameplay. And I personally find that Cernunnos doesn't actually need to go 100% full tilt, use your movement abilities to go in aggressive most of the time. You can often, if you're consistently hitting that Bramble Blast, you're probably going to be able to get up in range anyway. But do keep it in mind, different strokes for different folks, different viabilities. Knowledge is power and all that. As far as your matchups go on Cern, the one notable deficit to Cernunnos is that he does not have a CC immune ultimate. He is also fairly countered by gods with CC immune ultimates. A huge part of the Cern kit is being able to 2 ulti or ulti 2. So if you're a god with a very low cooldown CC immune ability, something easy to use like an Anher, even an Artemis, while she will still get hit by
This will only make me stronger.
the ultimate, because she's not going to be able to run out of it in time. If she throws down Tusky, Greater Sign, Cernunnos ult every single time. gonna CC me just as long as it would have CC'd her, except for she's gonna be CC immune, so she's gonna be able to be attacking me the entire time. Just a complete counter. Same thing with like an her ulti. Sure, he takes the damage from your ult, but he doesn't take the CC, and his ultimate's gonna do more damage because that's like the thing that it's supposed to do. So you have to watch out in those Hunter 1v1s for guys with CC immune ultimates. Heim is a little bit better for me because while he does have a CC immune ult, it's also an ulti that people really want to use aggressively. Which means that there's a better chance he doesn't just use it defensively for the sake of it. Which gives me a little bit more leeway to throw down my ulti on it. And also to run him down, just like Cern said. As far as enemy junglers go, that's really gonna be your bigger issue. In the 1v1, in the duo lane, Cernunnos kind of thrives there, particularly if you're gonna go an early Icky Ball. Best boxing item in the game for hunters. Freedom! In the jungle though, that's where you're gonna encounter a lot of your problems. Walls in the jungle are a nightmare for Cern. So Kabrakan jungle, Thor jungle, those suck to play against because you've only got a dash and because you don't have any CC immunity. There's no preemptively doing kind of nada. You just sit there and die for the most part. So that's a much bigger worry than the opposing hunters in your lane is going to be the production of walls. Even a Ymir support can be really annoying for a Cernunnos in terms of your positioning. Because when you're positioning on a hunter, a lot of them, much like Cern, you're trying to get yourself in that sweet spot range that is the farthest away. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to get a Shell or an Aegis this game because they don't have a lot of big wombo combo damage, but they do have a lot of just kind of over time consistent damage. I'm actually going to get the Shell for myself and my team. Also going to help out my 1v1 in the duo lane a lot. It's going to be very useful against the Kali more so than an Aegis as well in this particular matchup. So I'm going to grab Shell as that second active. Basically on ADC, your actives are beads every time and then either Aegis or Shell, just depending on the exact team composition that you are going against. More big burst one-time ult damage, more Aegises, more consistent over time / auto attack damage, more Shells. Back to kind of our positioning on Cern. Your goal, for the most part, in a team fight is you're trying to be in the range of your auto attacks, but as far back in those auto attacks as possible, which is unfortunate for Cern because you don't get to be utilizing that passive. You can see how that passive drops off as we get later in the game because it's just harder for you to get up into that melee range. Now, right now against this Heim, I can get all up in his business and try to get into that melee range. Going to be switching my stance quite a bit here, trying to get that last little bit of damage, see if my ulti can get in range for the kill. It doesn't look like it's going to be able to. But he's staying. And I've got my beads up, I've got my Shell up. He's not that cool, so I'm gonna pop my Shell, I'm gonna pop my beads, and I'm just gonna dive right in there on him and grab that kill. A little Aussie proc as well, gonna get me out. So in the 1v1 against this hunter, trying to be in melee range as much as possible, trying to utilize that passive. Once I get to the team fights, that melee bonus damage only gonna be useful for you when you're getting dove. So like when the Kali's jumping on top of me, congrats, I'll get it, but I'd rather be outside of her melee range because then she can't do any damage to me at all. Your goal in general with Cern is gonna be providing that consistent PvP damage, but more importantly, providing CC and setup for your team while also doing the PvE objectives. When you're at the Gold Fury, your job is going to be to do the Gold Fury, not necessarily PvP. When you're at the Fire Giant, it's going to be your job to burn the Fire Giant. Not your job to secure it, that's going to be the mage's job, but it's going to be your job to burn it down. At a Phoenix line, particularly, one of the biggest mistakes that I see late game from hunters is they're like, okay, I'm gonna try to get the kills here at the Phoenix line. No, you can probably kill the Phoenix in like 10 autos. Nobody else on your team is gonna be able to do any damage to the Phoenix unless you coincidentally have like a Polynomicon, Oleron, or Chronos or something on your team, which you probably don't. So it's your job to be doing the objectives. It's going to be much more helpful for your team for the Phoenix to be dead than for one more person on their team to be dead. Because if the Phoenix is alive, chances are somebody on your team is dying. Gotta do the PvE. It is a PvE type of role, particularly this season when there's so much farm on the map. Your PvP, a lot of times, is going to come in that early game 1v1, the early game duo with you and your support. But your late game job, a lot of the time, is going to be to PvE. I'm just going to get the ulti up on me first, but he's pretty dang scared. So he's not even going to follow up on it. He's just going to use it in a defensive manner. That is fine by me. I'm going to start rotating over to the mid lane. Heim ulti is down. I have cleared the wave. There's a good team fight going on in mid. For your stance switch on Cern, this is kind of your unique ability. Just memorize the colors. Green equals lifesteal, yellow equals bonus damage, orange equals armor shred, and blue equals slow. In general, all of the forms are actually useful. If you're trying to learn Cern and you don't know, or you don't want to kind of do the min-maxing on that ability, that's okay. The most important one that you're going to want to use at the start of the fight is orange, because that's going to get that shred on them, and then you're going to want to switch to yellow. So if you don't want to bother between all four, that is okay. Just do orange and then yellow. It's a little awkward because you've got to do orange and then switch all the way back around in order to get to that bonus damage. But that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. Get that quick armor pen shred on them. Then switch over for that bonus damage. When the enemy is trying to run away, that is when you switch over to your blue, because you'll slow them down so you can catch up, get a few more auto attacks in. And if at any point you are getting dove, you're getting focused, they're trying to kill you and you're just trying to live, that's when you switch over to lifesteal. Or if you're just kind of farming away, right? Like if you're just farming away, damage numbers don't really matter. Just heal yourself up to full. Quick note about Cernunnos' 1. Does not do bonus damage on 2 towers. So if you've got your, it doesn't matter what mode you're using against a tower, it doesn't matter what you're using against a Phoenix, it's not working against them. Doesn't matter, can be in any stance that you want to for whatever you're trying to do right after that tower, that Phoenix. It does work against non-towers. So if you're doing like the Gold Fury or something, it will help you out there. And his passive does work against towers. So your 1 does not work against towers, but your passive being in melee range does work against towers. So if you watch right here, do a 93 damage, switch stances, 93, 93, 93, doesn't matter. If I go over here, you're now going to be able to see that I do that bonus 20 damage. I get a bonus 20 damage right there on the tower, which is very nice. From that 25% pass.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
So if you can get in the melee range, you can do bonus damage. Now, obviously, you don't necessarily want to get into melee range against the towers all the time, because if they're defending the tower and you're running up into melee range, you're going to get blown up into smithereens. But that was actually a great opportunity for me to basically walk up, utilize that bonus damage so I can kill it faster, and then get out. Very nice. Boop. As far as our build this game, you can see that we've gone mostly into a auto attack style build. This is just a very consistent build that you can run on hunters because it works against all enemy team comps. Sometimes in the hunter role, it's more efficient, particularly in the 1v1 to build crypt, but it doesn't always transfer to the rest of the team. This particular team, kind of tanky. They've got the Arthur, they've got the Shiva, they've got 2 frontliners. Baba Yaga, liable to get some bonus HP in her kit through things like Warlocks, and she does. Kali probably gonna be full damage, and Heim gonna be full damage. So basically 2 tanks, a medium, and then 2 damages. So when you go this build, it's gonna do really well into those tankier builds, and it's also going to do well against squishies. Kind of the bread and butter of this build is the fact that you get that bonus damage from your Executioner, and then you also get the inevitable bonus damage from Kins. So that bonus percent damage that you get from Executioner is a huge deal, particularly against tankier targets, because the longer that you're hitting on them, the more damage that you're going to do. And then, of course, Kins is just going to give you a little bit of that extra oomph. Kins combined with Cern is also a little bit extra fun, because not only do you get that Kins damage popping up, if you're in melee range, you get that bonus melee range damage popping up, so you get a little bonus on your bonus on your bonus, and who doesn't like some yellow numbers? Now for the ranking up of my Death Toll, Death's Embrace or Death's Temper, both viable. Death's Temper, more aggressive. More, I need to solo carry this game. Death's Embrace, a little bit more defensive. More, as long as I don't die, we're going to be fine. 2 different styles of gameplay, both viable, different situations. Death's Embrace, I got a full tilt, get pentakill carries, otherwise we're losing. Death's Embrace, as long as I'm not feeding, we're doing great. So like, I'm gonna switch over to my blue stance, try to get some slows onto the Shiva. He goes into CC immunity, so I switch off of the slows. Not gonna get any benefit from the slows on a CC immune man. So I switch over to yellow just to get some bonus damage on him.
Go forth.
Gets the Fuego. I am gonna put myself over here in melee range. That way I'm getting that plus 25%. Now we can back up this game. Just gonna give myself the Death's Embrace. Because we're winning the game very strongly. I don't need to do anything special to win this one. All I've got to do is not do anything stupid. And that means it's Death's Embrace, so clock plus the Death's Embrace healing plus the Aussie healing going to be very nice. For this last item, typically I like to just get more penetration in the build. Executioner does give you good pen, but it's over time that you're getting that penetration built up. And on Cern, I like to grab a Dominance here. Dominance also got to be very helpful in the ultra late game when you are trying to kill Phoenixes. For you are going to get that 25% pen bonus against those Phoenixes. Executioner, not going to be giving you that same bonus against the towers or the Phoenixes. Yeah, I'm going to dash myself right over here into a high. I'm going to throw down my ulti. He might have to ulti out himself. Trying to get myself over in range. He's just going to teleport himself out. That is fine. I'm just going to keep kind of shoving down over here in the solo lane. Team should be totally fine over in mid. We've got a fairly substantial lead right now, which means I'm safe to be a little bit greedy and get a third lane pushed up, so that way we can get multiple Phoenixes at the same time. Although I am going to run myself over to mid lane after we grab this wave. Just trying to give my creeps some wiggle room to run all the way up. Now that we've gotten to the Phoenix fight, you know my job. I provide some CC where I can, provide some damage where I can, but once we're actually in it to win it on this fight, My job is to kill this Phoenix. So I'm getting zoned out. Not going to be able to hit the Phoenix without getting wrecked. Got to pop my shell and kind of get out of that one. Going to go heal up a bit off of some green minions between my Dash Embrace and the Aussie and my one stance. I'm going to heal up quite nicely. Now I can run myself back in. Once again, going to be focusing myself onto that Phoenix. Unfortunately, the Phoenix keeps resetting onto me, which is definitely a bit of a bummer. Phoenix, so help me God, leave me alone. Now, because I pushed up those creeps earlier in right lane, we've got ourselves an entire wave over in right. Gonna switch over to my green stance while I'm killing minions just so I can kind of full heal. Then we can start working on this Phoenix. Also gonna dash in, put myself in melee range. Now I'm getting that 25% bonus damage against the Phoenix as well. Switch over to the armor shred stance. I'm just gonna stay in that on the Shiva since we got the full team beating on him. And we may be able to put away the game right now. A little risky. The safe play here would be to just back up and go for another left lane push, but because of the substantial lead that we have, chances are we're just going to be able to kind of run at this Titan and kill him. I'm actually going to go for a quick little bob and kill. Nope, she's got her Aegis up, and they might be able to punish us for this one. We were getting a little bit greedy, and it doesn't look like we are going to be able to finish this one. Gotta dash myself away. We gotta be a little bit careful, and we should probably just back up now. Even with our lead being that substantial, we still couldn't quite end it right there. Titan is, in fact, a thick boy. But now we're perfectly set up for the next Fuego. We grab the next Fire Giant and the Pyro. Bada bing, bada boom. We shove down the left. And we should be able to put this one away. And it'll be even easier because I'll have my dominance online. Gotta rank up my shell first before my beads. Cernunnos, getting one rank up in the beads is nice because you get that minus cooldown on the actual active itself. But the minus 3 seconds on the cooldown, not as important to me as the extra effects for the shell. Going over towards the Gold Fury because I think they might be doing it. They sure are doing it. I thought they might be, and they were. And I'm actually going to start chasing them down a little bit. Realistically, my team needs me over by the Fire Giant, so I'm going to steal this purple, and then I'm just going to start heading over towards the Fire Giant because they need me for the PvE. Now, luckily, we do have a second Hunter in the Uller, so they can actually do that Fire Giant without me. And they've already got 3 people on it. They're going to be fine. So I'm just going to steal some buffs on my way over. And I'm also going to clear out some of these Onis. Call for the attack left lane. Discordia gets a good pick over in duo. As long as somebody's tanking this tower, we're going to be able to take it out no problem. Because I've got all that pan from the dominance, I should be able to kill these as well without even needing creeps to help out. Just going to switch over to my orange stance so that way I am ready for anybody that comes in on me. And you can see that the Phoenix is going to get wrecked even without creeps here.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy Phoenix.
Kali's not here. We already got one dead. Gonna throw down an ulti right there towards the Hive and the Shiva. Throw down a shell, not just for me, but for the team as well. Just give them a little extra might die here at the end, but we should be able to finish up that Titan and call it a day. So on Cernunnos, abuse your early game passive. Bonus damage on your autos and melee range means that you basically can't lose the 1v1. Also makes it really hard to miss your auto attacks. You've got a bunch of CC. Reminder that your 2 cripples, that combination of the 2 plus your ulti is a lot of duration of CC in the early stages of the game, as long as they don't have an easy way to avoid it with some form of immunity, like a Robin 2 or a low cooldown CC immune ultimate, like an Anher ulti that can kind of push right through and wreck your day. Don't forget, of course, guys, to subscribe to the Twitchiest community. to help support us and ring that bell so you never miss a video, which will probably be uploaded, give or take, around 1 p.m. Eastern every day, forever and ever, 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 ever. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.